Hello, welcome to NOLA Stamping. I'm Bart Baldwin, and today I'm going to walk you through how to make a nice flower frame layout using the Sweet Memories paper pack and the stamp of the month from February 2024. I really like the Sweet Memories paper. I'm just going to go through it really quick so that we can get to the scrapbooking. The paper is it's a really nice, lovely touch. And I love how the stamp of the month really goes along well with it. And the stickers really add a lot to the layout. So let's get going with it. So I've mass produced a bunch of the flowers, the different flowers from the February 2024 stamp of the month. This month they came with cutout dies so that you can just like really easily go through and make a bunch of flowers. And I really recommend watching one of the other videos to see how I do that. I just wanted to quickly give you a glimpse. This frame does take a bunch of flowers, but they really come together pretty quickly. And I think the effect, it just looks fantastic. So I really wanted to match the colors that are within that paper pack. So what I did was I took the Periwinkle, Sage, and Mulberry ink pads from Close to My Heart. And then I'm just using them and a water brush to color my stamped images. I stamped everything using an intense black ink. And because of that, the ink won't really run when I watercolor. And I'm just using the plain White Daisy paper. I'm not using a ton of water. I'm just sort of, making sure that my brush is covered a little bit with the ink, a little bit with the water. And then I'm just going to go through and do anything that needs to be green. I'm using sage, and anywhere there's the lines of the stamp, I'm just putting a little bit of extra ink on there. And then I'm going to do the same thing with mulberry. And I got out my all-purpose mat, and I'm just squishing the ink down on that and then grabbing more. There's just a bunch of, I'm going to use a bunch of flowers, and I thought I'd just do a bunch all at the same time. And so I really like how it kind of comes out. It looks really soft, like a watercolor. And then using the periwinkle blue around the edges just really adds something to the flowers, and it just really makes everything tie together well, especially with the paper pack. And it really comes together pretty quickly. I was listening to an audiobook. You could also watch a show or something and do it at the same time, as long as you had a desk to work at. But yeah, I think it was worth the little bit of effort to do it. And so I really kind of like how everything came out. And that way, like if you go over the edges a little bit, it's not a big deal because watercolor needs to be a little messy, right? So, okay, let's go to building the 2-page layout. I love this little ledger paper with the little camera in the corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm using it on my 6x8 album that I'm doing all year. So first I'm going to cut the ledger paper at 5 3/4 inch wide. I already have 2 pieces of periwinkle paper cut at 6 by 8 inches, and I'm going to use those as the base. And so I first cut that ledger paper at 1/4 inch smaller than the 6 by 8. And I use that on the frame side of the page, but then I ended up using a smaller piece on the journal page, the smaller, not the photo frame page. So I'm just grabbing the sticker border that is on the sticker pack and I'm just going to use it to create like a consistent border across the top of the page for the frame page. And we're going to be making that frame page first. I really love that little limited, like with the number on there, and I try to use it all over the place, but you're going to see I never end up using it on the actual layout. So first we're going to distress the page. So I always take my big acrylic block, and since the pages are kind of small, I just want it up and off of my work surface. So I'm taking an old nail file and going around the edges, just sort of sanding down the edges, just to give it a little bit of interest and reveal that white core of the Close to My Heart paper. So next I'm just going to use some liquid adhesive and glue down that ledger spot and use the same block to let it dry, just so that everything is flat. So in the January-February catalog, Close to My Heart has a 3x3, like a Polaroid frame die, and I love it. So I'm going to use that. I'm just putting a little bit of glue around a photo of a goofy photo of myself from a time I got flowers at work. And so I'm going to use that frame just as the basis for this flower frame. So what I'm doing first, before I glue anything down, I just kind of like to see how it's going to come together. So I'm taking some of the bigger flowers and I'm covering the corners, the top, and the two sides. And so once I have everything kind of set to where I want it to be, I'm going to go ahead with a liquid adhesive and just glue everything down flat. We're going to use the smaller flowers to fill in and to create some dimension on the frame. So don't worry if there's like a couple of spots where there's nothing available. You don't want it to be too full at this point, but you want to make sure that there's some coverage around the outside. So I love the shaker packs from Close to My Heart because they come with a bunch of extra 3D foam squares that you can use to give some dimension and pop things up. So I'm using that on my photo frame, and you'll see I grab it real quick and I make sure to use the little squares instead of like a strip all the way around. So that way I'll be able to sneak in some flowers when we're building some dimension on the frame. So I'm just going to use the individual little flowers that I painted, and I'm going to use those and some of the little greenery and the little leafy stems to just sort of fill in anywhere there's like a little bit of background paper. And then I'm going to use the 3D foam to pop up like just a couple of flowers just to give it a little bit of dimension. I end up doing one in the upper right hand corner and making sure that it goes over top of the frame, and then same with the one in the lower left hand corner. I make sure to put that up and above, and then the other two or four flowers that I use, I make sure that they are underneath the Polaroid frame just to give it a little bit of dimension on the frame. So now we're going to do the other part of the double page layout. And so I'm just going to go ahead and distress it the exact same way that we did the first page. That way it gives it sort of like a matching sort of feel to it. And then we're just going to use that paper, the ledger paper, and I'm using a liquid adhesive again to adhere it down onto the page. And then you'll see that it is 5 1/4 inches tall, so I'm just making sure to give it a nice even frame around the bottom, and the liquid adhesive kind of works nicely to be able to squish it into place. And then I'm using the camera, you know, the opposite side of the ledger paper with the cameras at the top, just to give it a little bit of visual interest, just so it's a little different than just the ledger all the way up on both sides. And you see, I just desperately wanted to use that. I think that's so cool on the top of the ledger paper, but it just didn't work. So it is what it is. So I'm taking the other piece of sticker banner border paper, or border sticker, and I'm just going to try and sort of match it a little bit along a line. And then I'm using an X-Acto knife to cut off the edges since I already adhered the page down. I probably should have done that before, but it's hard with the other piece, you know, and an X-Acto knife works just as good. So I'm just taking my embossing buddy and I'm just going to like de-stick the sticker because I know that I'm going to want to pop it up again. There's a lot of dimension, playing with dimension on these pages. So that is one way to de-stick the back and then give it a little bit of dimension by adding those 3D foam squares. So I thought about making the second page just a page for journaling, but then I have a couple of really good like close-up pictures of the flowers that I received. So I went ahead and printed those, and then I'm just matting them on some periwinkle paper, and I printed them kind of small, like about 2 by 2, and then one of them just it stuck up just a little bit, so I think that's like a 2 by 3. And so then I'm just going to go ahead and distress the edges of all those frames. I end up only using 2 of the pictures of the flowers, but I think editing that one out was the right choice because those 2 kind of go together really well, and it's nice how it's overlapped and stuff like that. So I'm just going to copy the feeling of the frame by doing pretty much the same thing here. So you'll see that I used a tape runner, and I'm doing that because I'll be able to lift up the tape runner using my paper crafting tool, you know, and then I'll be able to stick some of the flower in the leaves and stuff underneath it. I'm just kind of trying to mimic the feel of the flower frame, but without doing that exact same thing on this second side, since like the graphic in the corner goes up a little bit further. So I'm just filling in with some flowers and then adding some 3D foam squares to pop up 2 or 3 of the flowers, just again for some dimension. But I want to make sure that sticker that says Picture Perfect Day is the thing that has the most emphasis. So it's the thing that's sticking out the most besides the flower in the corner. So I really have a love for liquid pearls. So I'm using silver liquid pearls to just sort of cover up the center of any flower that's showing up. I also did that on the frame side, but I forgot to turn the video on while I was doing it. But it is a perfect way to just sort of embellish the pages and give it a nice little extra touch of sparkle and shine. So I always put my 2 pages out and just sort of look at them and see if there's anything that I think, you know, if there's any spaces or anything that I need to sort of do. And I'm just thinking that the upper left-hand corner of the second page, not the frame page, is missing something. So I grabbed my paper pack and I'm just going to make a dovetail flag out of the periwinkle paper and the zip strip that goes on top of it. And I'm just using my scissors to cut it out, cut up the center, and then go in from each side. And then I'm just going to use my same scissors and trim anything that is sticking out off. And that is it. This comes together so easily, but I think that it's just gorgeous. I really love the frame and the accompanying page on the paper. So I hope this inspires you to make it or to make it your own. And don't forget to stay crafty.